flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Present.
Tia Dustin. Jason Redd.
Present.
Daniel absent. Guillermo Gomez.
Present.
Gerald Trueheart absent. Lucy Vandenberg.
Present.
Denise Middleton absent. We have a quorum.
The New Jersey Sunshine Law was enacted to ensure the right to the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. On the rules of this act, the Trenton Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting by publicizing the date, time, and place, therefore posted in the Central Services Building, 108 North Clinton Avenue, City Clerk's Office, City Hall, and the Times. Anyone whose name is on the mailing list should have received notice. Can you please tell us what the changes are to the agenda?
The changes are moving public participation to Roman numeral 4 and move presentation to Roman numeral 2. 3. Roman numeral 3.
Okay, with those changes, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second. Roll call.
D.A. Graham.
Yes.
Tia Dustin.
Yes.
Jason Redd.
Yes.
Jane Rosenbaum absent. Guillermo Gomez.
Yes.
Gerald Trueheart.
Yes.
Lucy Vandenberg.
Yes.
Denise Millington absent. Motion passed.
Good evening, board members, community. Tonight, Principal Dr. Channing Conway is proud to present Dr. Martin Luther King Elementary School's Music and Art Departments. Let's give Martin Luther King a round of applause. Under the instructional guidance of their art teacher, Mrs. Yvonne Tinsley, the boys and girls of Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School have prepared a host of artistic creations that are out in our lobby. The art projects represent a genre of students' work of paper wall hangings, weavings, kente cloths, landscapes, portraits, collages, and many still life drawings. So please, as you leave tonight, members of the community and board members, take a moment to see the beautiful artwork done by our students at Martin Luther King Jr. This evening, we are also proud to feature the brass, woodwinds, and percussion instruments of the Trenton Youth Symphony Orchestra, which will combine with Grant Elementary School's El Sistema String Orchestral Program. Conducting the Martin Luther King Jr. School Brass, Woodwinds Percussion Ensemble, and Singing Glee Club will be music teachers Ms. Stephanie Meadow and Mr. Aaron Brooks. The elementary band will play first Hot Crust Bun, which is an English language Easter song and nursery rhyme written in 1798. The Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School Glee Club will then join the band to perform Mark Anthony's 2014 hit, Vivir Mi Vida, Live My Life, featuring MLK 5th grader Javon Jones and 4th grader Justin Flores on the trombones. Once again, please give a warm welcome to Martin Luther King. Again, let's give one big round, last round of applause for our Martin Luther King Elementary School students and Principal Dr. Conway. Thank you. And the students will be receiving their certificates of performance of excellence for this evening. And we will, as they're exiting, we will be taking down the chairs and the podiums, the music stands. And so if you came out tonight just to support the students, then this is an appropriate time to leave. If you came out just for that, you're welcome to stay for the entire board meeting, but we will take a momentary break just to take down all of the chairs and the podiums and the music stands so that we can be prepared for the first item on the agenda, which is the presentation. So once again, any parents or community members that came just for Martin Luther King, now would be an appropriate time to leave if you're not staying for the entire meeting. If you're staying, you're welcome, and we will be resuming in a few moments. Dennis and Mohammed, can you just put some of the chairs in another row in the front? Because there's a lot of people standing in the front over there.
Dr. Duran. Can you please give them your attention?
Quiet, please.
Good evening, Madam President and fellow board members, community. Tonight, Mrs. Howard and I are here to present the public hearing on the 2015-2016 budget. As you know, at the previous board meeting, the board tentatively adopted the budget to be submitted to the county office for approval. Ms. Howard and I attended a county approval hearing on Monday, March 16th, where we were able to present the budget that the board submitted to tentatively approve, and that budget was approved by the county. So we're now here before you to present the final budget approval for 2015-2016. As a reminder, as we embarked upon this journey, we were unfortunately faced with a very large shortfall for next year. And so as a board, we've been working with each and every one of you. We've worked with many of our union partners as well to look at and see and understand exactly why we are in this predicament, what are some of the choices that need to be made moving forward, and how we are going to be able to present a budget that will be not with a shortfall. Some of the areas that we focused on in terms of our budget priorities was to focus on ensuring every possible dollar invested in our students, that we can ensure students are funded equitably regardless of which district school they attend, and the most important piece, that we are a viable option for families. And in doing that, we had to make some tough decisions that none of us, including yourselves, I know as board members, are not happy with all of the decisions that we had to make. None of the hard decisions are ones that any of us wanted to make, but these were the tough choices that we had to make with the two areas of excellence and equity as our focus. Our budget goals in this process were to keep per pupil funding as consistent as possible, to direct student resources to our students and our classrooms, to invest in personnel and non-personnel priorities to move the district in alignment with national best practices. We looked at many of the areas that are not currently required by the state or in code, and things that we know though are best practices for not only our district but for many districts like ours. We wanted to make sure that we could and continue to invest in many of the opportunities that we've been providing for our students. Things like counseling, nursing services, arts, music, sports, as opportunities, while at the same time ensuring that the instructional core for our students and teachers at the school level is not touched as much as possible with regards to our budget funds that we have for next year. Class size we looked at very closely, and looking at projected enrollment. We'll talk to you a little bit more about the projected decrease in enrollment and why that is, but the enrollment in terms of what was looked at school by school, we decided collectively not to seek a waiver to raise class sizes above, as many districts have been, above the state required levels of 21 to 24, so it's keeping that within line, and again, keeping all of the major supports for students in place that we've been investing in. To improve and garner efficiencies in school-based services, and to align our resources, as I indicated, to curricular goals, looking at our core content areas. Over the last 2 years, we have taken steps to address our financial challenges while keeping student achievement as our chief priority. And this is our commitment once again in this budget for next school year. Again, with some very difficult choices that we were not happy with. By focusing on the schools as the primary driver of where we wanted to invest as many dollars as possible, since last year till this school year, the 2 fiscal years combined, we have removed $21 million from central office efficiencies to make sure that those are invested in our schools. And again, this is something that has been an ongoing process, and I want to thank all of you as board members who engaged in many conversations with us, who outlined for us a focus for us to look at in terms of students as the main point of what we're all about. And so again, tonight what we're presenting and what's on the agenda before you are some decisions that I know none of you are in favor of, and certainly myself as well. Many of them are very difficult decisions that we had to put forward. But again, what our main goal was to keep as much as possible the resources in the schools that directly touch our students and our parents and our community. Ms. Howard is now going to go over a little bit more of the detail in terms of the revenue and some of the implications around enrollment moving forward.
Thank you. Good evening. Board President Millington, board members, and community. I am here to present revenues, expenditures, and enrollment. As the superintendent stated prior, this has been a long process, but we're finally here at the end. Although maybe the budget is not ideal because of reductions, this is a hand that was dealt. And once I go with the revenues and expenditures, then you'll see what the superintendent and I was faced with when we had to present before the county superintendent and the county VA and monitor. And with that being said, the county superintendent went over every budget in detail, line by line, staffing and enrollment, and did a mock schedule. When we met with her on Monday, March 16th, she already knew whether we were overstaffed, whether we were over-enrolled, and whether we were at our admit numbers. So she basically said that although she understands that reductions had to be made, she wanted to congratulate us on making the tough choices and to make sure that we did a mock schedule before we just presented a budget to her. So I just wanted to share that. Our revenues are made up of basically state aid. That's how we fund our central office positions and our school-based positions. We also have the local tax levy, which you know has been $21 million for the last 10 to 20 years. We have reoccurring expenses that are revenues that are one-time, which is maintenance reserve, and also the excess surplus. We also have grant funding, which is made up of preschool mainly, Title I, Title II, Title III, and IDEA. As the governor stated in his address, he said no school district would have less funding than they had in the previous year. So we were funded flat, which means that although our other expenses, our fixed costs went up, our revenue remained the same. So our state funding is comprised of transportation aid, which as you see is $2 million. We spend $8 million. So that's already a $6 million shortfall because we're only paid for students who are remote, which means beyond 2 miles if you're elementary and beyond 2.5 miles if you're high school. They do not pay for courtesy busing or busing due to safety reasons. And the reason for that is they feel as though we're an educational facility, not the city who house the police department and crossing guards. They feel as though they should pay for safety. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was clear. Special education aid. Although you see $8 million there, that's 1/3 of the categorical aid. The other 2/3, which is about $20 million, is in our equalization aid, which I'll get to next. That's our per pupil amount, which is $11 million for elementary students, 11 plus for middle students, and 12,000. 11,000 for elementary students, 11 plus for middle students, and also 12,000 for our high school students. So with that being said, that equalization aid is basically how we're funded. That's where the charter school payments and our out-of-district payments come from. So although it looks like you're receiving $190 million, when you take out $33 million for out-of-district tuition and another $36 for charter schools, then you're left with the remaining balance. Special ed is also not fully funded because we receive 14.71%, which is the state average for classifying a student. So regardless of how many students we have, we receive 14.71% of that. Then you times that by 15,000, and that's how you come up with our special education amount. So going into the 15-16 16-17 school year, we're already in a shortfall there of about $4 million. So I've already explained about $6 million for transportation, about another $4 million for special ed, before we even start preparing our budget. Our adjustment aid, our security aid is aid for security, which is about $70 per student. That's our security aid. Our adjustment aid is only given to the former AVID districts. And that is to hold us harmless, because if they would not have given us that adjustment aid, we would have had a negative 2% when this new funding formula came out. So we wouldn't be at a negative if they gave us the adjustment aid. We didn't receive any non-public transportation in 14-15. We don't anticipate receiving anything in 15-16. The other two is just park readiness aid, which is $10 per student, and per pupil growth aid, which is $10 per student. So if you look at our revenues in total, you see our excess fund balance went from 16 to 11 to 3, which we already talked about in length with our board members, because we used $3.2 million of that money for the current year to support our charter school payments. We also received a maintenance reserve. For 2 years, we put about $20 million in our buildings to beautify our buildings, but we will not have that funding, that reserve, for the 15-16 school year. Our local tax levy, as I already talked about, is what it is for the last 20 years. Miscellaneous revenue, the bulk of that is our E-rate, which we try to capitalize on that. Our E-rate, which is 90% of our free and reduced lunch applications for our communication, which is internet, broadband, and so forth. Extraordinary aid, we receive 90% funding for every student that is 40,000 or above for special ed. So that's something that we're going after aggressively also. State aid I already talked about, and I will then expand on grants and entitlements. Our grants, per the state, yes, per the state, was supposed to be funded at 85% of the revenue for the 14-15 school year. So if you see a big decrease, it's due to the 85% plus the carryover amount. We're not sure what the carryover will be for 14-15, but we know we will not have the $10 million for title. Preschool is what it is at $29 million. We have IDEA, which would be about $3 million for the 15-16 school year. We have our school-based youth services, which is basically done by Melba Grant, is housed at the high school, and they provide services for our high school students, which is daycare and mental health and so forth. We have our Perkins grant, which is a vocational grant. We also have a local grant. Now, we used to have a New Jersey School Board safety grant. We will not have that in 15-16. That's why there's a reduction of about, $150,000. The $10,000 is for ETS. That's a local grant. We have non-public, which is for nursing, technology, and for textbooks, because we have about 10, 11, or 12 non-public schools that we have to make sure we service. And our others is, really that 121 is for McKinney. Race to the Top, we no longer have in Safe Schools. So that's for our McKinney Homeless Grant to help us support our homeless students. So that makes up to $39 million that's in our grants. Now, if you look at the percentage per source, you will see that 78% of our funding comes from the state. That's why there's such oversight with our funding, because 78% is from the state. 7% is from our local tax levy, and 14% is from grants.
Pay your fair share, Mary Jo.
Okay, now we will go to expenditures. This year we did a zero-based approach. As in the past, we did a student-based budget. A zero-based approach allowed us to look at all of our expenditures. We went back 3 years and looked at all of our expenditures. We looked at our current expenditures, and then we forecasted 3 years out to make sure that we came up with a number that every student could use and we could justify that expense. And it's also less flexibility in the budget. Our school-based services are services that are done in the schools, but we have some central office services that are school-based, such as custodial services, transportation, athletics, bilingual, and special ed. Our central office is basically business office, human resources, curricular and instruction, bilingual, technology, and student enrollment. If you would take a look at this slide, it's very important, because this is the reason why we're in the situation that we're in. If you look at our charter school payments in 13-14, you will see $20.9 million was paid to charter schools. If you fast forward to 15-16, you'll see $36 million. That's a difference of $16 million. It's going straight to charters. So if you look at that, that's 466 students, which is a school. Our large elementary schools are not 466 students. So that's a school. So basically we're funding a whole school with what left this year in charters, in our charter school payments. So if we look at our school-based budgets, they decreased by 11%, but that was due mainly to low enrollment. That was the main reason why the budgets were reduced. Because as I said prior, 466 students went to our charter schools for the 15-16 school year, which I'll go over in detail later. Our charter schools is $36 million, went up 15%. Out of district is $33 million, and this is special ed and alternative ed, not just special ed. That went up 3%, and our adult students are what they are. Okay. Our specialists are used to provide teacher preps, common planning time, and course requests. Reduction of any specialist position was due to reduction in homeroom, course requests, or enrollment. Students are required to have 150 minutes per week in physical education, health, and safety. As schedules are finalized and homerooms increase, the number of PE teachers may increase. Now, our expenditures over 3 years in central office. If you look at our central office expenditures, I would like to point your attention to human resources. You will see that's up by 11%, but the reason for that increase is due to one, the state monitor, and number two is because of the services to supply substitute teachers. That went up an additional $500,000 from the prior year, based on what was budgeted for 14-15. Based on what was budgeted for 14-15, we needed to make sure we had an additional $500,000 for 15-16 for whatever agency wins that award.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time hearing you. Can everyone just lower your voices? Thank you so much.
If you also look at space and legal department, you'll see that went up a substantial amount. And the reason for that is because the school support office was combined with the FACE department. So that's why the legal, so that's why that's $3 million. I didn't want you to think we were adding all those positions in. So our overall reduction in central office was 14%. If you look at our insurance and our Social Security and our other benefits, overall it went up 24%. But the one that's glaring is the unemployment, the workers' comp, and the payouts. That went up 24%, because we're anticipating that due to reduction, some of our employees, former employees, will go on unemployment, and the payout, some will retire. So we want to make sure that we budgeted enough funding in that account. So that's why it's not always one for one. Unemployment is dollar for dollar, but we have to make sure we look at the whole picture, benefits, not just the reduction of the staff person. So if you look at school-based, it's 53%. Central office is 27%. Grants is 7%. And district-wide is 13%. But if we take out custodial services, which I talked about earlier, transportation, athletics, bilingual, and special education, central office will be 9%. because they support the schools, and school-based would be 71%. So most of the funding is funneled through school-based. Enrollment. As I stated prior, 466 students for the 15-16 school year is anticipated to be going to the charter schools. Now today, the superintendent received another award letter, which was also expanding foundation by another 28 students. So they will go up to 900 students, which has not been budgeted for in the 15-16 budget. So our overall resident enrollment is 14,000. But if we look at the charter school enrollment, foundation is K1, 3 through 12th grade. In 16-17, they will be K2, 3 through 12th grade. So we already know they'll expand in 16-17. Not only in money, but also in the number of students, because we already know 28 students in 8th grade. But they want to go down those 28 students, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Also, STEM, which is 9th and 10th grade, will be expanding to 9th through 12th grade. So we know we have 2 more years to project costs for STEM. So that would be another, probably around $1 million to $2 million. So now it's at 36, it might be 38, 39, maybe $40 million in 18-19, because they already are approved students to attend those charter schools. So if you look at the other structures, International is K4, PACE expanded to K5 from K3, Paul Robeson is 4th through 8th grade, International Academy of Trenton is K5, they were K3 prior, Village is K8, and as I said, STEM is 9th and 10th grade. They were 9th grade this year, but they're going to 9th through 12th grade. So if you look at our charter schools for this year, 22%. They increased by 22%, which equates to $36 million for this current school year. What reductions were proposed to balance the budget? In salaries and benefits, and I'm not just talking about health and dental, I'm talking about all benefits, PERS, workman comp, and everything else. It's $13 million, and for non-salary, it was $3 million, and that is a $17 million shortfall, not deficit, because we receive the funding, we just pay it out to various places as in charters in our district. Our additions and reductions per bargaining unit are as follows. Confidential administrators, 25% reduction. Confidential secretaries, 7% increase. TASA, 12% reduction. TEA, 6% reduction. Paraprofessionals, 36% reduction. Business and technical, 9% reduction. TESA, 13% reduction. Mechanic and laborers, 43% reduction. And custodians was a 13%. Custodians was a 29% reduction. Overall, it's 13%. So it's 226 total positions, not necessarily people. Not necessarily people, positions, because there are some vacancies. Our total revenues are $297,779,827, and our expenditures are the same. So as you see, the budget is balanced. As we said, we know it's not ideal because of reductions, but our budget is balanced. In the appendix, you will find, which I won't go over, is just the school-based allocations and the per pupil amount, so you can have for your approval, but I wanted to make sure I shared that with you. As you can see, that ties out to the $83 million and the reduction of 10%, as I stated earlier, and also our per pupil amount is also in the appendix. Which, as you see, our per pupil amount is $17,000, which is in line with 13-14. The superintendent and I will entertain your questions at this time.
This one, one important question for us tonight is the overall process in this budget cycle. Could you expand and explain and talk about the overall budget process and what was done to get to this point again? I know you mentioned it earlier, but can you elaborate a little more on the overall process and what work was done by everyone to get to this point in our process and our approval of our budget?
The beginning part of the process was to do projected analysis of what we thought our shortfall may be given the potential enrollment. We projected about 19, as you saw, was 17.3. We then presented to the board what that would be and some of the possible scenarios that we would need to do after getting guidance from you as individuals on the board on what are some priorities you'd like us to consider. After that, we then began to look at, as Ms. Howard said, a zero-based approach, taking back several years, 3 years of expenditure, school by school, district-wide, at all the different departments in the central office to see what had been spent so that we could start to balance based upon that. And then after that, we, as you know, continue to engage the board in providing updates on that. We met with the state monitor as well, with the mayor, to share with him and what were the concerns in terms of the enrollment and what were the projections. We subsequently, after that, met with our union partners to go over line by line of the budget in terms of what the anticipated revenues expenditures were, and any recommendations about any changes at that point. We then took back to the board for a final review of all of that information that was collected, and then it was tentatively adopted by the board. We then took it before the county superintendent, who approved the budget with a slight modification, but for the most part approved it as it was. And then we're back here before you for the final approval of the budget.
How are the children affected by these budget cuts?
Primarily, what you'll see is one major impact, of course, is the consolidation of one of our schools. So we'll have one of our elementary schools being consolidated into another monument into Gregory. So, of course, all of the students there will be impacted in having to go to a new school. We did put aside monies for transportation for security reasons so that students would not have to walk from one to the other. That is a major impact. In terms of the class sizes, they were not impacted. In terms of the curricular and core materials, and in terms of the opportunities, we really did not touch those that are touching students in this budget.
Another question I have is I think a critical point in our overall budget process is the percentage of students who are enrolled in charter schools, projected to enroll in charter schools for next year. What percentage that is of our overall student enrollment in Trenton Public Schools? I mean, what is that percent? We talked about that some time ago. But
22%.
so we have 22% of our enrollment of students
We're going to
are going to charter schools.
projected
For the charter schools. That's a significant amount of students.
without adding the additional 28 students that was just approved that we received today.
Okay, so we have a challenge. Okay, that's one of our major challenges. I think folks need to understand one of our major challenges with our overall budget shortfall or decrease in our revenues is attributable to our charter school only increasing, and it's going to increase even more over the next 2 to 3 years. So we have to do a yeoman's job. We have to do a lot more work in talking with our parents, to get our parents to come back to our Trenton Public Schools and show them our value, that we can do a great job for our students, educate our students. I think that's a very, very important point.
Board President, are there any more questions?
Thank you.
public participation. Our first speaker is Wendell Steinhammer. Mr. Steinhammer, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. I'm Wendell Steinhauer, President of the New Jersey Education Association. I'm here today on behalf of NJEA members whose careers and livelihoods are threatened, namely teachers, specialists, child study team, and especially the paraprofessionals. As much as I'm here for my members, I'm also here for Trenton's students. It's their education that's threatened. It's their opportunities that are diminished. And districts with budget challenges often treat employees as expenses. But the men and women here with me tonight and all of their colleagues aren't expenses in Trenton. They are your assets. They have the caring relations with students. They know the individual needs of the students they serve, and they are trusted adults that children turn to in times of need. It makes no sense to get rid of assets when times are tough. You don't throw away the future to get through hard times today. You ask, how will you get the charter students back? The answer is showing that the best schools are right here in the Trenton Public Schools. You don't do that by laying off your assets. You don't do that by taking away the people that know your students in and out and force them to go to schools that are not going to be met with the great assets that they have. You can't keep cutting, and aspire to be the best. That's right. At a time when childhood obesity is at an all-time high, firing physical education teachers is so short-sighted. It will have a negative effect on our students' health and well-being. In an urban area, children do not have as many opportunities to play outside or participate in community athletic programs. For many of those students, physical education is one of their few opportunities to exercise and learn about healthy habits. Today's schools educate the entire child. And that means they need to ensure their basic needs are met so they can be successful in school and life. Physical education is fundamental to children's welfare, and your physical education students aren't just about the physical part of it. They're comprehensive teachers that teach in classrooms all day long. All the things that your children need to know. Also, approximately 20% of your 14,000 students in Trenton are classified. That means we need more caring adults supporting them, not fewer. The Child Study Team plays a pivotal role in ensuring these children get the services that they need. And you would be throwing away the future, trading caring, committed paraprofessionals for the lowest cost employees that some private company will surely scrape together. Residents and taxpayers who live and love this city, for people with no history in our schools or experience with our students. You talked about your property base. It makes no sense to fire people that live in New Jersey or live in Trenton to trade off their salaries for taxes and then put them on your unemployment. You're still going to have a cost to them. Why not keep them to work? The board needs to make tough choices. I understand that. But but there's no excuse to make the wrong choices. You shouldn't be firing these great employees. You should be fighting for these employees. You should be fighting for this district. You should be fighting for our students' future. Don't tell these hard-working men and women that you don't have a choice. Get out and demand a choice. Go to the mayor and council. Go to our legislators. Go to the governor. Go fight for the children in the schools as opposed to their consent. We will stand by your side. We will fight with you. But you have to decide not to give up.
Our next speaker is Janet Morrison.
Janet Martin. I'll be later. That's Janet Martin. But I know you're coming.
Ms. Morrison, you have 3 minutes.
Fine. She gets $5 and gas. Trying to fast. 5 minutes. Take away those dollars. You have no program.
Good evening, especially Mrs. Millington, fellow board members, and Dr. Durant, Mrs. Smallwood Johnson, and the most important people, our members. I have a question. How many of you are familiar with the FAST program? Families and schools together work with children. Raise your hand. Mrs. Millington. Families and schools together work for children. Mrs. Millington was one of the community members as a parent activist that helped us found the program, along with Corrine Grooms, Emerson Simmons, and Reverend J. Stanley Justice. It started as a pilot in 2003. And up until this year, never had a threat of not continuing. The program was a partnership with the Trenton Education Association, the Trenton Parish, and NJEA. NJEA offered our local unions, our local associations, a grant to outreach to families. Why? To get them involved, because we strongly believe that if you make schools more welcoming, they will come.
That's right.
And they did.
Yes.
And I have to be honest, hearing 36% decrease in the paraprofessionals, in my opinion, it's obscene. These are the individuals who know the families best. The members of our FAST program have devoted countless hours with no additional compensation. In other words, they volunteer to staff the program to bring families closer to our schools. We started with the Mega Skills program. Again, a partnership with NJEA, and at that time TEA, and the Trenton Board. Mrs. Smallwood Johnson helped bring that program to Trenton. She worked cooperatively with us when she was in another position. What are mega skills? How many of you are familiar with mega skills? Raise your hand. Mega skills are effort, responsibility, confidence, motivation, respect, teamwork, caring, initiative, perseverance. It was created by Dr. Dorothy Rich, the late Dr. Dorothy Rich, from her research. Research about what adults would need to be successful in life. We utilize that program here in Trenton. They are character skills. Who implements the program? The paraprofessionals and members of the CPA. They comprise our FAST program here in Trenton.
You have 1 minute.
Let me just give you a snapshot of what these individuals have utilized, the thousands of dollars that NJEA has invested to bring parents into the Trenton schools. The paraprofessionals have a small budget. They do a needs assessment and they bring programs to their respective schools. We've done Dad and Me Days, bringing fathers in to have programs with their children. They are passionate workers and compassionate. Brunch at Tiffany's, it's coming up, and I would suggest that you attend. Is a program where we partnered with the preschool, the early childhood program. Parents of preschoolers come together. They had etiquette lessons, literacy, coaching, and they did a team building activity making fascinators because it was a Tiffany's theme. How much team building spirit do you think arose from that kind of an activity? I mentioned the Dad and Me Day.
Ms. Morrison, your time is up.
Let me just tell you that out of that program, they also raised money by selling off their costume jewelry to donate to breast cancer research. That's compassion. You're not going to get that in a privatization and bringing in a company of mercenaries, in my opinion.
That's right.
I just have one question for you. Since you're bent on eliminating the people who are closest to the families, bringing them tools that they can use to help their children, who's going to talk to the parents to get them back to the school system?
Our next speaker is Betty Glenn.
Good evening. I am Betty Glenn, and I am the president of the Trenton Paraprofessionals Association. For those of you who are a certain age, I want you to think back to your childhood. Back in the day, when a family could get by with one income. It wasn't always easy. Lord knows we were far from well off, but we were rich with love. We had people in our homes and neighborhoods to look after us and make sure we were safe and well behaved, even if our parents were working. Today's children don't always have that. You need 2 incomes to support a family in today's world, and many of our students live in single-parent homes. Our communities are not as tight as they were, so our schools have stepped up to fill out that need for our children. Our schools are a refuge for our students, and the people working in them are family. Trenton paraprofessionals are not just school employees. They are trusted members of the school family who help children learn and give them the love and support they need to be successful in school and life. We are Trenton community members through and through. We are in the schools and in the neighborhoods because we live here. We have a vested interest in seeing these children succeed because they truly hold the future of this city. They need to know that they have adults in their lives that they can trust and lean on in tough times. That's what Trenton Powers do for each day and every day. So in this time of struggle, when students need us more than ever before, why do you want to fire the people who love and care for them with their whole hearts and souls? Why do you want to entrust Trenton's children to a profit-driven company with no ties to this community? Why do you want to bring strangers into our schools? Why do you want to take jobs from people who pay taxes that support this school district budget? We dedicated our careers and lives to the children of Trenton. We make sure they come to school ready to learn and keep safe in school. After school, we still watch out for them because we live here. We may be low paid, but you can bet your dollar we are high in value. So come see what we do. I'm extending an open invitation. Leave the administrative office and spend the day in Trenton paraprofessional shoes. See firsthand, in fact, we have what our students like. We are committed to the children of this school district. We are committed to this city. Don't let the disastrous results of the last year's privatization plan be repeated. You can't put a price on well-being of our students. Don't fire Trenton taxpayers from their jobs and replace them with people who have no ties to this community and to these children. Keep Trenton working and keep our children safe. Mr. Trueheart, Mr. Red, Ms. Millington, and Ms. Rosenbaum, I know I came before you for a whole year and a half. I brought you pictures, I brought you letters from administrators, I brought you letters from parents telling you what this privatization company was doing to our children. I stood before you every single day to bring in here and let you know that these people did not care about our children. In good faith, in your heart, I can't see either one of you, none of you, voting to privatize the paraprofessionals. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Lance Lopez. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, my name is Lance Lopez and I'm the president of PBA Local 105, located right here in our capital city, the greatest city in the nation. I stand before you with members of my executive board, and we stand here to say that we support public education. Far too long do we see charter schools taking the funds from our cities, and these funds are not coming back to the school district that richly deserve these funds. I implore you today, I implore you tomorrow, and I implore you next week that you seek out these legislatures and these politicians and you find a way to ask them to return those monies back to our public schools who need those funds. I say to the NJEA, the TEA, the specialists, the principals, and the power professionals in the city of Trenton that PBA Local 105 stand with our brothers and sisters, and we support them in ensuring that children's education in this city will not fall by the wayside as we have to stand here with them our students today only creates one thing, and it creates a path to incarceration. I represent almost 6,000 officers in corrections, juvenile justice, and parole. And our prisons are filled with a lot of criminals who have fallen by the wayside because they haven't had the opportunity that you are denying these children today. So again, I ask that this board reject this budget. Thank you.
Our next speaker, I believe the first name is Richard Salivar. I try not to. When I can't read the writing.
Good evening to the board. I just wanted to say that,
3 minutes.
I'm with the maintenance department, and my paint shop is being eliminated. Now, I've been a good employee with the Turkey Board of Ed for 23 years now. And you know what? I just don't understand it. I see the facts and the figures, and they just don't add up on why they're getting rid of people. I mean, I was just talking to people, they gave the board the figures of how much it's going to cost to have a private company come in. It just doesn't add up. All right. And I'm lost. I can't figure it out. I don't know what else to say. You know, I live here in Mercer County. I went to school here in Mercer County. I did everything. My kids grew up in Mercer County. We went to schools here. And it's just not the right approach we're taking. All right. You know, I really don't understand it. I try to figure it out. There's people with less time than me that are going. They got a year. Is that fair to me? I got 23 years in this company in the Board of Ed. That's not right. Everybody loves when I come into the school. They want to say you're going to cut the budget by 43% in our department. It just doesn't make sense. I think there's more to it than just money. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Joe Povio.
Tell the city to pay their fair share.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the
You have 5 minutes.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Joe Povio. I am employed with the Trenton Public Schools in the Buildings and Grounds Department as an electrician. I also have the honor of serving my brother and sister tradespeople as their shop steward. Just want to speak on 2 issues before I do. Just myself and my fellow tradespeople, we stand united with all of our brother and sister workers and all the units against the privatization and the loss of jobs and the services to the students in the city of Trenton. Like it was mentioned before, 43% in the Buildings and Grounds Maintenance Department is going to be cut. We're actually, to paint a little clearer picture, we're losing three departments within our department. Like, just speak on 2 of them right now. We're losing 3 positions, actually, as it stands, 2 employees in the carpenters and 2 employees, 3 positions, 2 employees in the paint department. Just to give a little on some of the things, and I've stood here before, and you've heard it from me a couple of times about everything that our department does as a whole. But in the carpenters department, along with just the maintenance in what needs to go on over here. Our carpenters actually handle the locks and the keys for the entire district, and there are many doors in many school buildings. They take care of that. They take care of even in some of the older buildings, we have not just one or two, we have many buildings that are either 100, more than 100. I mean, Harris, Robbins Annex is 1903. What's that make it? 112 years old. So some of these older buildings have doors where you can't just go out and buy hardware for it. You can't go to the Ace Hardware and buy a lock for it. You need to actually remove the lock from the door, take it apart, and rebuild it. And that's one of the things that our carpenters do, along with our painters. On top of just painting, they handle the graphics and signs for the district. They handle, this is something many of you probably don't know, but the glazing they do in tandem with the carpenters. In the event of vandalism, in the event of just an incident where a window breaks, they take the glass out, they reinstall new glass, and that's our painters and the carpenters together. Our paint department in many of the older buildings here, we have sections of the buildings that actually have asphalt roofs, and when those roofs are damaged, I mean sometimes they're damaged to the point where sections need to be replaced or redone, but they do the patchwork that actually allows school to happen the next day. I mean, they stop the water from coming in through through the roofs when it's when it's something that can be done. And just keep in mind, and even we used to be, the Buildings and Grounds Department used to be 42 mechanics and laborers, and I understand that today that's not even a possibility. So we are down, we're less than 20 now, okay? In losing the carpenter and paint department, and I'll even concede the fact that with a small Buildings and Grounds department, that there's going to be a need for task and time jobs. I understand that, but the money that you're going to spend, the money that you're going to lose in the jobs that need to be done now, like when it comes to vandalism or safety, I mean,
That's right.
their jobs will be paid for by the time January 16 comes around. It's just, I mean, that's how I see it.
Yeah.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again.
Our next speaker is Wayne D'Angelo. You have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you, and if I tend to run over, hope I won't have to be escorted out of here on the front page of the Trentonian tomorrow. It's taking up a little bit too much of the time. Again, my name is Wayne D'Angelo. I am the current president of the Mercer and Burlington County Building Trades Council, which is the bargaining unit representative of the mechanic and laborers contract. You heard Richie and Joe speak briefly about what they do on a day-to-day basis. We were all here last month, Monday, February 23rd, in a packed house, and you had a lot of concerned people with unanswered questions behind me. And there still is a lot of unanswered questions and concerned individuals that are out there. We asked to meet, we said we didn't know these issues, we asked to meet with the administration, and that Wednesday morning, the bargaining unit rep sat down with the administration and went over the generics of the budget. You know, it was very time-consuming, it was very insightful, and we were asked, as reps, where can we make cuts? And I cannot speak for the other bargaining units. I can only show them support. I agree with everything that all these previous speakers came up and said before. The interest in the problems that are out there. But specifically for the mechanic and laborers contract, for those that were not at that meeting, we asked, what can we do to cut? And I came up with $1 million. $1 million. the difference between the existing mechanics and laborers that are employed by the city, school district here, the work that they do, from a year and a half of being outsourced for Meridian Services. The additional hourly rate of approximately $20 an hour times 3,000 hours a year times 20 employees, $1 million. So I'm asking you to strongly reconsider our schools. You heard we're going to be down to almost 11 employees. They're going to make sure that if the ceiling tile falls, or if someone finds asbestos somewhere, or if a door is broken, or if a window is cracked and needs to be replaced, or if an outlet is broken, or we have an electrical hazard or a plumbing hazard, or whatever the hazards may be in the construction industry, with the number of schools that we have, you are not going to be able to pick up the phone, call a contractor, have them show up on site with a familiar face, and know the industry. You're not. So I'm asking you to re-examine that. Now my political hat. After last meeting, I brought, and off to the side here was newly appointed Assemblywoman Liz Moyo, and she got an earful. She got a quick education on what's happening here in the school district. We're bringing that back to the legislature because the governor gave us his budget. It's no longer his budget. We are mindful of the financial resources that are needed here in the city. We're going to be aggressively trying to reallocate some of that money because out of $33 billion that just dumped on your lap, we're trying to figure out getting more money to where it's needed. But I want to make sure that that money is in our infrastructure, it's in the classroom, right? And things that you look at when you're doing big budgets, and especially a budget to this magnitude, because 3 hours on a Wednesday morning is not enough to digest this. So, board members, I implore you, please consider tabling the discussion for a little bit. And so you can help us, help you digest this information. It's a lot to encumber. It's tough. You don't have the resources that are out there that we call at the State House. Listen, I need to sit down with the departments and give me a stronger breakdown. You know, you have day jobs. I recognize that. You're doing this for the betterment of the city school district. I understand that and I respect that. I thank you for that. But be mindful of the hearts and minds down behind me. Yeah. Because I don't want them making a left on the Clinton and going down to unemployment. So thank you very much for your time.
Our next speaker is Trina Peters Brazella. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Trina Peters Brazella, and I'm a board employee. I'm a paraprofessional 101 currently at Stokes Elementary, Stokes Early Childhood Center, there for the preschool disabled classroom. Although that is a position I serve right now, that is not what I was hired for. Last year, my tenure with the board started on November 12, 2013, when I received my blue card and was hired as a paraprofessional. I was excited about working here in my home city, where I live, where I have lived for the past 4 years. Every day I travel 3 hours to go to the city of Camden, where I worked prior to coming to the board, to serve their children. So when the opportunity arose for me to serve the children here in my own city, I was excited about doing that. I was even more excited when I found out I was assigned to Stokes School, because unlike what was represented in the newspaper about some of the people that serve as 101s who don't have the credentials to be paraprofessionals, I'm more than qualified. I have my bachelor's degree from Rutgers University in California, and my concentration was early childhood education. So I was very excited, and I got to work with the population that I was trained to work with. And everything was going well. I was having a great year. I was quoting and getting to know the children and the staff there already, making myself quite at home and having a successful year. Until I was called to an emergency meeting last year here in this very building and told that in lieu of losing my position, I was offered a position for this school year, 14-15, as a paraprofessional 101. At that time, we were assured many things, one of which was that we would be placed on the recall list and given priority because we accepted this deal. We took it one for the team.
Yeah.
For me, that salary, taking that position was a cut of more than $14,000. And I had to make that decision right then on the spot. I could not make a decision. I couldn't go home and think about it. I had to decide before I left this room. And what choice did I have? I was a single parent with 2 children. I have 2 daughters, one in high school and one full-time in college. So I had to keep a job. But at that same meeting, I was assured that I would keep my benefits, which wasn't completely true because when I remarried in September, I couldn't add my husband to my benefits. I was assured that I would be on the recall list so that when positions became open, I would be given priority and put into those positions to return to what I was hired to do as a paraprofessional, and that's not exactly true. A new classroom just opened at Stokes, and there were 2 positions that were available, and they were outsourced to source for teachers. And they don't even have any students in the classrooms as of yet. As of today, no students have arrived for that new classroom. And they're being paid floating around the building with money that belongs to us. That was promised to us. And what I'm trying to say today to you board members, with due respect, because I understand this is a difficult place that we're in. But what I'm saying to you is that I've taken one for the team already. And now you're asking me to take it again in this new slot that you placed me in that I didn't sign up for, but I've done it. I've showed up every day, and I've proven my commitment to this district, to this board, to the children, to the parents that I serve with every day. And now I'm asking you, board, when will you prove your commitment to us? You made a promise. You said you would give us back our jobs. And I looked at the agenda, and I saw that you had 5 paid professionals that are being paid, who have been eliminated, and you made positions for them. When are you going to make a position for us? Those paraprofessionals were highly qualified and able to take paraprofessional positions, but were moved out and placed in other positions that we didn't ask for. So the children with most need, with no training to assist them. We're doing our best, but when will you keep your word? When did it become acceptable for the board to not keep their word? Because I've kept mine. I've done the job and I keep doing it. When will you do yours?
Our next speaker is Gloria Lazuma.
Good evening, Board of Ed.
You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Okay, I'm listening to other people, and I have to stand here and kind of deviate from my script and tell you, for me, it is always about the kids. Always. And I don't want to stand up here and bore you with statistics, with the fact that in Trenton, a staggering 50% of our 3 to 18-year-olds are categorized as either overweight or obese, more than 2 times the national average. I don't want to ramble on about how 47% of our kids are not getting 30 minutes of activity every day, never mind the nationally recommended 60-minute minimum. Or stand here and tell you that at least 34% of that same group of children spend more than 2 hours a day on TV, video games, every day. I truly hesitate to mention that the 18-fold increase in the use of antipsychotic medications in children in just the past 17 years, and how this could very well tie into the lack of motor stimulation and movement in young children, particularly boys. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention I'm a health and phys ed teacher. I could tell you all that, but I won't. Instead, I'd like to focus on the children themselves. For this show of solidarity among physical education teachers is so not about saving jobs, but about saving the lives of our children.
Tell them, Gloria.
My kids, as I like to call them, and yes, I remember each of their 525 names, and wonder how many names you guys know. Sadly, my kids are not enrolled in youth soccer programs, dance class, where they can safely be active. My kids, through circumstances in which they have no control, often do not have scooters, bikes, swimming pools, and many do not even own basketballs or footballs. The 40 minutes of physical education that they might be getting is their only exercise, and it is not nearly enough. Finally, let me tell you what my kids do have. They have the same body, love of movement, need for camaraderie, ability to gain confidence, joy of learning, and huge smiles. I wish you would come and see them, that your kids have when they exercise and play. I urge you to go the distance, not for me, not for my job, but for the kids of the city of Trenton, for the health and well-being of our kids, and keep physical education as a priority in Trenton Public Schools.
Our next speaker is Eris Tunstall.
Good evening. My name is Eris Tunstall. I am the Vice President of the Trenton Paraprofessionals. I'm lost for words, I really am. Because at the end of the day, when you cut the paraprofessionals, you're cutting taxes. Tax money that you're asking the city for. If they do not have their jobs, they do not pay taxes. 5 years ago, when we privatized the food service and the security, people lost their homes. I chose to buy in Trenton in 2004. My neighbors, I had boarded up homes around people that used to be employed by the Trenton Board of Education. My members took a cut and they only make $17,500. That is nothing. You talk about privatizing. Yes, you overpaid the private company before. You said that you did not pay that bill, but still Mission is the sister company to Source for Teachers. So that money is there somewhere that you paid. We have subs that don't come to work. I have a paraprofessional that's been subbing for 2 months because they can't find a sub. She ain't extra help. She's subbing for 2 months without a sub in her room. You ask, what PR can we do to bring our kids back? We can do a lot of PR. Because guess what? We work here. And we live here. Trenton is very small, and everybody's related. But if you keep cutting the taxpayers, we won't get our kids back. A lot of my paraprofessionals have children that have graduated from Trenton Central High School. That have kids that are still attending Trenton schools. What loyalty do you want them to have if you cut their jobs? I don't think that you understand what a one-on-one is. It's not on a need basis. It is written in an IEP. They have to have that service all year long, not on a need basis. By law. Thank you. Also, I just ask for you, board members, to reconsider and and just put a hold on this and find another way. I understand that you're saying that it's a shortfall, but the shortest fall is going to be our children in our city.
Our next speaker is Janet.
Pronounce Kent.
And let's give her a guy
That's okay.
to be
No, I understand.
criticized.
No, I'm not. My handwriting may not be very legible. The name Kent means child. It's German. I'm a paraprofessional. I've been a paraprofessional for 14 years. We're doing 15. At our meeting this afternoon, I raised the question that the school that I work in, we've had switch for teachers, substitutes, not show up for work. That means those children have been given to other teachers, and that disrupts the classroom, and it also disrupts the children's lives, because when a child knows their classroom and their classroom routine, it makes it very hard for them to just be thrown into somewhere else. All like the rest of us, none of us like change. So my question is, how can a bill be given to you for another $500,000 for a job they can't even do right the first time?
Our next speaker is Ron Senator.
I'm actually going to be presenting the next four people. Keith Powers, David Pekarek, Dr. John Ginton, and Don Lombardi yielding our time. Good evening, Superintendent Duran, President.
One moment, Bill. Make sure we get your time right.
Yes, I'm fine.
You've got 15 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, Superintendent Duran, President Millington, members of the board, teachers, students, parents, and community members. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak. On the surface, we are here this evening to prevent the cutting of health and physical education teachers. However, our true purpose is far more important. We are here to advocate for the health and well-being of our students. You see, there is a myth that we are gym teachers, that we are prep coverage, that we are recess coordinators, but we are not. We are health and physical educators. We teach far more than kickball and eating your vegetables. Our curriculum is perhaps the most vital content taught in schools today. Our district, like many across the state and across the nation, has a narrow focus on literacy and mathematics. This is not without justification. After all, these are the scores that our politicians and bureaucrats use to determine our effectiveness as teachers and as a district. We are consumed with standardized assessments like PARCC tests, Common Core, benchmarks, DRAs, SMIs, and SRIs. What individual here tonight would stand up and say there is anything more important than the health, safety, and well-being of our students? It is our hope that tonight, that this presentation will demonstrate the vital role that health and physical educators provide to our students, as well as the effects that these cuts will have on our district. In a nutshell, the purpose of health and physical education is simply to deliver quality instruction around the New Jersey Core Curriculum Content Standards for comprehensive health and physical education. However, I would like to draw your attention to the word quality. Our job is to deliver quality HPE programming. This is far more than rolling out a ball and checking that students are wearing sneakers. And it is certainly more than recess and other forms of physical activity. As we'll see later in this presentation, our curriculum is an extensive collection of skills and subject matter that are an essential element for students to be helpful, productive members of society regardless of their chosen path in life. Our presentation tonight will cover 4 key areas: the laws surrounding requirements for health and physical education in schools, health and safety issues, the childhood obesity epidemic that our city is facing, and a link between physical education and student achievement. New Jersey Title 18A 35-7 states that all students grade 1 through 12 must participate in health and physical education every year that they are enrolled in school. Title 18A 35-A goes on to mandate that students must have at least 2.5 hours or 150 minutes of physical education each week. This is a mandate that already our district has difficulty meeting, especially at the elementary level, where students receive on average 40 to 80 minutes of physical education per week. In 2014, our district was cited on our annual CUSAC report for not meeting the required 150 minutes per week. Our district, like many others, has tried to offset this with recess and classroom software programs like GoMoodle. And while these steps do increase physical activity, there is a big difference between physical activity and physical education. In fact, the law specifically states that unstructured recess cannot count towards the mandated 150 minutes. So why? Why is quality health and physical education so important? What is it that we teach that is important enough for the state to create these mandates? Quality health and physical education teaches perhaps the most important life skills that students need to be healthy, productive members of society. Here's a sampling of the myriad of topics we teach: character education, decision-making, collaboration, hygiene, first aid, disease prevention, and much, much more. As you can see, our curriculum is very extensive. We teach life skills that are not taught in other subjects. Surely our students must be able to read and write, solve math problems, and balance a checkbook. But how successful will our students be if they cannot effectively communicate, cannot resolve conflicts peacefully, cannot make responsible decisions, or cannot work collaboratively with a group to accomplish a task? Furthermore, how fulfilling will students like be if they are deceived with diabetes, heart disease, obesity, or other preventable diseases? How will students be successful if they are unaware of the dangers of drugs, alcohol, and tobacco? Regardless of a student's path in life, health and physical education is the foundation of that path.
Our next part is health and safety issues. Diminished quality instruction. The more students we have, the less time we will have for instruction. It will take more time for student attendance. We are responsible for teaching health as well. With more students, we will not be able to fit our curriculum in a timely manner. Increase class size. By making the projected cuts, physical education teachers will have more students. Increased class size will lead to an increase in classroom management issues. Less differentiated instruction. With bigger class sizes, we will not get to know the children as well as we do now, thus making it difficult to provide adequate instruction for diverse learners. All children learn differently. With bigger class sizes, we will not be able to reach all the students. Physical education has always been at the forefront of teaching a diverse population. Even in a class of students with equal learning abilities, there is always a large span of physical ability. A decrease in physical education teaching will mean less opportunity for students to be physically active, less choice in course offerings. Also, a decrease will be in the ability to provide quality and comprehensive health and physical education. Increased students will equal less available equipment for activities. And to reiterate on what so many have talked about in the past, many students cannot go outside and be active due to the neighborhood they are living in. In many cases, physical education class is the only activity children are getting.
Good evening. I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Dave Picard, and I'm currently a physical education teacher at Grace A. Young Middle School. I'm going to speak on the topic of childhood obesity. Currently, 49% of our students in Trenton are suffering either from being being overweight or obese. Most of this is due to poor nutrition and a sedentary lifestyle. By cutting the PE staff, you are eliminating the education which provides our students the knowledge to make the right decisions for their health. Our children must stay active and learn about health topics such as portion control, reading food labels, and the importance of choosing certain foods. Studies have shown that there is a direct correlation between lack of education and higher obesity rates. It's our job as physical educators to give our students the education to make better choices when it comes to proper exercise and nutrition. These skills and concepts are not only essential for the children of Trenton to learn now, but can have a their livelihood throughout the course of their lives. Our children in Trenton deserve better. They deserve to be educated on the importance of a well-balanced diet and exercise. By eliminating so many physical education positions, we are compromising this goal and putting money first and the needs of the students in Trenton second.
Hello, my name is Dr. John Ginden, and before I speak, I'm a little upset about the presentation that was on the overhead. I hope we can speak for every physical education person, teacher in this place. Are you a prep cover? No! I'm not here to provide a common planning time for any teacher, with all due respect. I am not here to provide a prep coverage. I am here for one reason and one reason only, to provide a comprehensive physical education to all of the Trenton students that come in my path. I am not here as a glorified babysitter. I have spent way too much money on my education to be here to babysit a bunch of students, okay? I'm here to educate. Now, let me get to what I'm here to talk about. If you look in your presentation, one thing I have to thank the board about. A couple years ago, you gave me an opportunity to do a study on the link between obesity and student achievement. In one of the things that I researched, I also researched the connection between physical education and student achievement. And for many years, we have put the cart before the horse. We are only concerned about test results, and yet we're not physically getting the kids ready. There are so many studies out there that prove that once you physically get the kids active, the most optimal time for them to learn is right after class, right after physical education class. We are not here for any other reason but to educate the kids. So let's put the horse back in the front, being the physical education classes, get them active, get their brains stimulated so that they're ready to learn. We're not here to provide a prep coverage. In one study, you can read along in the packet that was turned into you. In one study, students who were active in physical education class prior to reading scored 17% better on their last reading test in comparison to the previous one. So basically, they exercised first, went to class, scored better, in layman's terms.
Page 3.
In another study of 4 to 18-year-old students, 8 areas were examined. These areas were perceptual skills, IQ, achievement, verbal tests, math tests, memory, development level, academic readiness, and miscellaneous. The results of this study show that all areas were increased with the exception of memory. That doesn't mean it decreased, it just means that there was no change, or there was no link. Exercise also increases brain function. One author states that through physical and mental exercise, the brain is stimulated. New neurons are produced in the hippocampus, which is actually part of the brain right above the brain stem, which is responsible for comprehension. If our students can't understand, and this is true, then let's get them active so that new neurons are produced within their hippocampus so that they can comprehend more. Therefore, through physical and mental exercise, the brain can grow and help in the cognitive process, therefore helping students think and learn more effectively. In a nutshell, as I said earlier, let's stop putting the cart first and let's get this curriculum done right. Keep physical education teachers employed so that they can get the kids more ready to pass the test that we all need to pass. Let's get it right.
Good evening and welcome back to you, President Millington. Good evening to board members, superintendent, and community. I must first begin as a follow-up to Janet Morrison's presentation relative to FAST. The Trenton Education Association and Trenton Paraprofessional Association also work together to bring this district many pride activities. On this past Friday, some of you were present, where we co-sponsored the Trenton Teen Male Summit. It was a very successful day where we had over 400 young men come to hear speakers such as Baruti Kafeli. We had Chairman Larry Ham. We had the professional football player, past football player, Lonnie Allgood, as well as Freedom Green here in from Trenton. These young men were able to come together and hear dynamic speakers. So when you're talking about the people that were there to have conversations to motivate them, the caliber was up here. Okay, so they benefited. This district benefited from that. And I hope that we can continue to have such partnerships because we saw that we have some needs at some of our middle schools. And we want to be instrumental in bringing about positive change in that area. On this Thursday, we will partner with the district again as part of our STEM initiative. That is not second to the STEM Academy, because we have them beat. That's right. We do have them beat. And it's largely due to the partnership that we have with the Progressive Science Initiative. So on Thursday, we will have a tour here in Trenton to highlight what we have done over the past year. You will see, if you come, that the gains that our students have made are significant. They're not just taking physics as freshmen, but they're actually learning, excelling, and being champions of it. So we gave them the challenge, and our students are indeed meeting that challenge with success. Are we perfect? Are we 100? No. But we have, after one semester, 50 students who can actually take advanced physics. That's almost unheard of. We now have a cadre of teaching staff members where we have over 10 teachers who will be certified to teach algebra-based physics. You won't find that in any other district in this county or state. That's right. We will be the leaders if we continue to do this right. So we have partnerships because we believe in Trenton Public Schools. We have given our lives to the success of the students in Trenton, New Jersey. We know that you have a hard job. And we are not here to beat up on you tonight. I know it might not feel pretty. Right. As a leader, it will never always feel pretty. That's right. When our members tell us we want more from you, I give them more. I might feel like I'm being beat up, but I know it's for the good of the order. Right. So right now, board members, we need you to know this is for the good of the order. I'm going to say howdy to our monitor who's back with us. And I need you to take a message back to Governor Christie. Because flat funding is decreased funding. That's right. Flat funding is decreased funding. That's right. As I said at the last board meeting, the state has buildings that sit on 40% of the land in Trenton. That's right. They don't pay taxes. They don't pay taxes. Their existence weakened the tax base that the city has.
That's right.
And we need them to make up for it.
That's right. Yeah.
20 years ago, they used to pay the city about $43 million a year.
Yes, yes.
Now, in supplemental aid, now they give them $22 million. It's not enough. We keep going backwards while bills keep going forward.
That's right.
And it's bringing us to the problems that we have today. We don't like how it feels because we do our jobs effectively and efficiently.
That's right.
You sat here as a monitor yourself. And you've reported to us that we've had 3 clean audits.
That's right.
Top audits.
That's right.
And we're doing it with less than enough funding.
That's right.
I also have my continued message that most of you have read in the newspaper. The city also needs to understand that $21 million
That's right.
in 1995 does not have the same value as $21 million in 2015. So I cannot continue to hear that we paid what they asked for.
That's right.
No, we took what you gave us.
That's right.
And now we need you to give us what you're supposed to give us.
That's right.
Now let's get to the hard job. This is not personal.
That's right.
This is business.
Hallelujah.
This is real. So we're depending on you to take this to the right place. As it was said earlier by the NJEA president, we will take the message with you. We're not here to push you out on the front line by yourself. We are here with you in this fight. But we have some work to do that's going to have to take us probably to West State Street.
Amen.
It's going to have to take us to our legislators and possibly even to Chris Christie.
That's right.
Because HESP can't do but so much. That's just a quick stop. So I'm going to get back to the business at hand. Union leaders sat down last month with central administration, with some members from the board, with representatives from the city, and we were able to iron some things out, and we were able to take the privatization of child study teams and custodians off the table. We know that the privatization of one-on-ones remain. And we also know that there are significant cuts to all the units. So while on the presentation you're telling me I have a 6% cut, I'm saying, well, I have the largest numbers. So I'm still slated to lose, as you say, a net of 77 teachers. So for me, that's 77 too many. Why is it 77 too many? Because every time we cut a teacher, it is going to impact the education that our students receive in our schools. I don't care if we say we're going to try to impact them at least, and that's what I thought that we had agreed upon. And I was saying, okay, well, I know I'm going to have some people retire. Maybe this can work. But then I start looking at groups. And I see it's not going to work. And our children will in some way be impacted. I must also say, I'm going to discuss that in a little while. But when we left that meeting, I thought we were on the same page, right? Because we looked at those percentages and the numbers. But this morning when I printed out the board agenda and start reading through the massive number of pages, and within that I noticed that the number of administrative positions that were being created increased. It appeared this way.
Not by a great number, but they did increase. And I saw greater deductions in my rank. So I went from 66, I believe, to a net of 77. So that was a little bit disappointing, and so I had to make some phone calls. And so after we've seen today's presentation, I have some questions. I have some questions because I need you to vote no to the creation of one of these jobs.
That's right.
Okay, so the proposed RIF of TEA members includes the elimination of all in-school suspension teachers. And we also see that we're going to reduce vice principals in some buildings because of enrollment. So I have a question. Who will take care of disciplinary matters in our schools? Now, the principals said they have a lot to do on their plates with evaluations. They have to do 3 for every staff member a year. Everyone in this room knows that we have fights in our schools every day. So I need to know who's going to take care of the discipline, because it's not going to be dumped on teacher leaders, it's not going to be dumped on classroom teachers or school counselors. And we need ISS teachers in our middle and high schools. The safety in our schools do matter. Then I have to go to our special education teachers. We're going to lose, I believe, 2 self-contained, that might be wrong, and 14 resource room and inclusion teachers. Now, our children are not being declassified at a very rapid rate. Okay. And we're bringing students back into the district. Many of those students are our BD students. Just this year, we had to wait until almost December, I believe, to find teachers for several of our BD classes. If we let them go now, being that they're first to go, right? Last hire first? Okay. So what are we going to do? Are we going to have a race again in August to fill these positions? Because the students will still be here. Because we know the charter schools try to pick our best, right? And when they have a special needs child, they immediately return them to us. Okay? So these are students that we will not lose. And so we must have staff, right, to work with these students, our most vulnerable students. The next thing I'm going to talk about, and you've heard the presentation, are the gym teachers. Because with the number of gym teachers that are being lost, I don't think retirement is going to do it. Okay? And our students are not getting the number of hours of PE that they are required to get by law. So, as I said, I have some questions because we have some newly created, right, administrative positions while we're still losing people. And then I started looking at titles, and some titles were merged, and then one was merged, and now it's no longer merged. So it gives the appearance that we're saving jobs based on the person. And we were told that we were not going to do that, that what we were going to do is make sure that the positions that remain were tied to the needs of the students. Okay? So because it appears that jobs are being kept based on people, I have to go into my next segment. Because we know that achieving literacy is the key that unlocks possibilities and open doors of opportunity for our children. We can agree upon that. In an effort to
raise achievement literacy, we have literacy leaders to coach and guide teachers and to turnkey job-embedded professional development. The literacy leaders get their direction from their content supervisor, who should possess not only strong content knowledge, but also strong skills in teacher education. As educators move up in the area of literacy, as they become supervisors, they should be teachers of teachers, guiding the literacy leader through the content and the art of adult learning. I get a lot of complaints from certain units. And we've had 4 literacy supervisors in the past 4 years. And they all had a very level of content, of skills and content knowledge, based on the grade spans that they've serviced over the years. So, sometimes you have one who's strong in elementary, sometimes you have one that's stronger in secondary, but they need to study to learn the other span that they don't have experience in. So I must say that this district needs to employ a literacy supervisor who does not communicate a dislike for the lower grades because, quote unquote, their instruction is not interesting and it lacks rigor. This is what comes to me via email. Let's be clear. Rigor has to be developmentally appropriate, and we need supervisors who understand that. We need supervisors whose tone of conversation with teachers is not condescending. A condescending tone does not allow teachers the opportunity to feel comfortable enough to ask questions that will allow their professional practice to grow. We need a supervisor who is willing to learn the content across the grade spans so that it can be properly communicated to teachers and leaders. It's not enough to have a 30-slide presentation for professional development purposes and tell literacy leaders to carry the message.
Your time is up.
She's going to give me, I had about 6 or 7 people sign up. I have 2 minutes. We need a supervisor who will self-correct rather than continuously send out emails and memos filled with grammatical errors and spelling errors. We need a literacy leader who is not mimicked when someone intentionally pronounces kindergarten as kindergarten. We need administrators who are respected by their subordinates. That's if we want to move forward. I might like you as a person, but as I started this, I said, this is not personal. This is business. This is business. Our success is not based on our likes or dislikes. It's based on who can effectively do the job. We have to move forward. We are sitting and we're looking at data and we want to see our improvement. I don't want to see any data going backwards. Don't want to entertain it. So we need proper leadership. So yes, this is a difficult time, but we are assured that we were assured that students would be the priority. I'm asking you to make sure that when we have cuts, that students are indeed the priority. When we abolish positions, I need to make sure that students are the priority. Because as I'm looking at it right now, and I just have to speak on the manager of attendance and discipline being cut. And this is the person who knows most about discipline in this district. I have to ask, what are we doing? We're cutting ISS teachers and a manager of attendance and discipline. That's a problem.
about creation of instructional school support and ask some questions, because I have questions about that one as well. I thank you for your time. I will be here tomorrow with you, and I intend to ask the city to pay their fair share. I'm also asking my teachers to come back tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Because 21 million in 1995 is not the same as 21 million in 2015.
Janice, do you still want to speak?
Of course I do.
You have 12 minutes.
I don't need 12 minutes, but at least you knew that I was going to speak. You didn't even have to pose that as a question. I know some people don't like me coming to this mic and speaking, but as a city taxpayer and employee of the district, it is my right to do so, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to exercise it. First of all, I need for this Board of Education to tell Commissioner Hesse that we cannot afford to pay Mr. Richards $100,000 for women health teachers. Let's be clear about that. And that's a message that needs to be taken back. That's a message that you as board members need to put in public print. The residents of the state of New Jersey need to know that we are spending $100,000 out of our budget, and we're laying off one-on-ones who reside in the city, who pay taxes, who are losing their homes, who can't put food on their table. Imagine what they can do with $100,000. Imagine that. Imagine that. You can no longer go back in executive session and remain silent. I've been here for a number of years asking you to go on the record and ask a hard question. Don't ask the hard questions in the back where you're having a discourse among yourselves. Ask the questions out here so when the reporters are out here, they can publish it instead of calling us an STA if they have a comment. Because you know what? We're always going to have a comment. We're going to have the comments that you need to make, but you don't have the courage to make because you're talking about it back in executive session. But let me say this for the record. There are two things that I need to speak about this evening. I need for this board to pull the new job description for the Director of School Support for two reasons. The Trans Education Association has a negotiated agreement with this Board of Education. You cannot put anything in your job description that references consultants that are not employed by this district, FEE. And I still don't know why our teachers are going to workshops being provided by this bogus group who is gathering data for their company, will probably come back and use it against the district. Okay, get smart, teachers. Get smart. You cannot put that in as language in your job description. They are not employees of the district. It is voluntary for our teachers to participate in any workshops that they offer. If you put it in a job description, it now makes it mandatory that the principals can use for our teachers to make it mandatory that they attend. And if they don't, you know what's going to happen. They'll be written up as being what? Insubordinate. It must come out. Number two, anything that deals with the RAC. We do not work for the RAC. Understand that, Trenton Board of Education. We do not work for the RAC, nor will we ever be dictated by the RAC. And you know that's where you can tell the RAC to go. Okay? And I'm serious about that. We are picked on because we are priority and focused schools. Hamilton got an extension before they became a focused school. There's always a reason why. Because of our color and the colored children that we serve. I am tired of plantation politics taking place in the city of Texas by the DOE. And you can publish that. So, any reference to the new job description having collaboration with RAC in reference to our teachers must also be negotiated and pulled out. And we will be entering into negotiation. And it will not, trust me, be entertained. Thank you and have a great evening.
Okay, our next speaker is go with the last name, Mr. or Ms. Shaw. Says local 32 something. Okay. Next person would be Lisa McAllister and Douglas Allen. You have 3 minutes.
We'll take it together. Thank you. Whoa! That's right here. Sorry about that. My name is Lisa McAllister, and I'm here on behalf of Local 32BJ. It's, I think many of you know, we're a union with 10,000 members in New Jersey, including many contract custodians who work in commercial buildings but send their children to Trenton schools. I met a lot of those folks on Saturday at a meeting. And as you know, we also represent the Trenton School District food service workers. We also represent about 20,000 security officers all up and down the East Coast. And nearly 2,000 of those live and work right here in New Jersey. The contract security officers in the Trenton School District are organizing with Local 32BJ for better compensation, benefits, working conditions, and respect for their rights. Their employer goes under the name Bowles Security, but they are employees of U.S. Security, which controls Bowles. We urge the board to hear the concerns of the officers and take appropriate action to ensure they have the same opportunity as the rest of the staff who serve the Trenton School District community, whether those workers are board or contract employees. And here to speak to their concerns is Officer Douglas Allen, one of the officers on the Security Officers Organizing Committee.
Good evening. She said, my name is Officer Douglas Allen. I've been employed as a security officer in the Trenton school system since October. I'm here on behalf of my fellow officers, many who couldn't be here tonight because they have to work 2 or 3 jobs for their kids. And we've been circulating the petition. We have over 60% of the officers that have signed this petition. What we need is a company that's going to pay us and pay us on time. We need better benefits. The days that we don't go to school, holidays, we don't get paid. We need better pay. There was one young lady that hadn't gotten paid for 5 or 6 weeks, and she lost her child care connection because she couldn't show that she had she couldn't show her hours because we didn't have a pay stub. We're responsible for the safety of the kids, your kids, everybody's kids in the Trenton schools, districts. We do critical work to ensure the safety of the students, teachers, and parents every day, and put our own health and safety at risk to benefit our community. Your security does not meet our basic needs for the crucial work that we do. We are organizing with Local 32BJ, the nation's largest security officers union. We're standing together for better pay, benefits, and respect. We talked, Mr. What's his name? Is this Steinmeier, one of the paraprofessional people. My mother was a paraprofessional here for over 28 years. At one time, she taught a lot of kids, hundreds, maybe thousands, to read, not only in school, but also sitting on the porch.
Your time is up.
To our house. So we support the paraprofessionals. We also support the construction and the maintenance union. You talked about having broken glass and things like that. What about when the lights are out and you need somebody right there? We support them. We support the phys ed teachers. And we just want all of them to support us also.
We made a copy for you.
Larry Loper.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Larry. Briefly, I'm going to say this. I sat here this night and I listened to everybody that had something to say. On one hand, we're very grateful. Make no mistake about it, we're very grateful that myself and 80 other custodians are working in a district that has 27 buildings. We're also in agreement with everything that's been said by every other unit here, because we've said in meetings prior to this. I think my issue tonight is simply this. She's like, we've been fighting an uphill battle for 10 years. And I stand here tonight before you guys, my voice is a little worn today. I look over here to my right, sir. Something's got to be done. It's not done at my level. Now I'm going to support, I'm going to go forward. And we're going to fight the good fight of faith. We're going to go forward and we're going to petition City Hall, the legislature, the state, because even though right now, if this board approves the proposed budget, such as it is, we still have to look forward to, as Ms. Howard said, next year.
That's right.
And the year after.
That's right.
And unless somebody's giving money from somewhere other than this room,
That's right.
I still have to worry about whether I'm going to pay a mortgage or a rent.
That's right.
At my age, I should not be considering these things. And then I have guys, it's a sad statement to make, that July the 1st, they're going to try to figure out where they're going to be working.
That's right.
Or how they're going to support their families. And honestly, here in Trenton, everybody that I know that works with us lives in Trenton, New Jersey.
That's right.
They pay taxes here, so that means they're part of this tax base. So my question to this board, and I have to ask, because again, like I said, I've been here 10 years, and I guess I'm confused about what the function of the board is, totally.
Hallelujah.
How does the board incorporate its desires with our needs? We have needs in this district. We come to work every day, we do our job, and we need a job. Now, when you break down to semantics, everybody needs everybody. The kids need us, the teachers, so forth, so on.
That's right.
What do you guys do to assist us in getting necessary monies? Like I think it's been said already before, no one's asking you to go out there on your own.
Right.
We will run before you.
Absolutely.
But in and of ourselves, we don't have that necessary juice. Do y'all? I'm asking a question now because I honestly don't know. I just know it gets rather tiring to stand here year after year after year after year, and not out of a sense of unappreciation. We appreciate this, all your efforts, but see, like every effort that's made takes us further and further down. I know you can't do nothing about the charter school by yourself, but we know that's the issue. So this board, how do we address this? What do we do? I'm asking questions because normally I have answers. Tonight I don't have those, but I'm feeling some kind of way. I feel some kind of way because honestly, this stuff gets frustrating.
Yes, sir.
It gets frustrating. When I look around at the faces, and I can't read your heart by your face, but I understand that you may feel similar to us. But the only difference is when you walk away, none of you are in jeopardy of losing your job at this board. I represent custodians. That's our home. We come to do our job on a daily. We work with parents, gym teachers, administrators. We work with everybody. We all like
community of people working together. So when one is affected, we're all affected. Because at the end of the day, when you affect any of us, you affect the students. And that's what this is going to be all about, the students. So I know we have to fight that the state will fund charters. I believe that's what we should all be agreeing about, right? And if the state's funding charters, then what do we need to do? Excuse me? Okay. What do we need to do together to put a plan together that we can go forward and be proactive and try to start keeping jobs as opposed to losing jobs? I'm just asking. Thank you.
All right, our last speaker is Hope Grant.
Good evening. I'm the last one. Can I get a good evening? And get in. I want to talk about a couple of different things. The first thing I want to say is that I'm going to wear my TASA hat right now. I'm the Vice President of the Trenton Administrators and Supervisors Association. And I want to make sure I make it perfectly clear that every single one of our members of TASA are capable, able, talented, and qualified individuals for their position. There is a process that is done every year, multiple times a year, for administrators, both tenured and non-tenured, and that evaluation and critique of that person's job performance comes from their direct supervisor. I want to make sure, and I say that first off because I want us to make sure that what everyone has been saying here today and what our true fight should be gathering together, staying together, and staying a united front to make sure that everyone can serve our students. So, throughout all of the speeches and all of the emotion, there's one thing that is a fact, and that is that we are playing a game that has two sets of rules. One rule for the public schools and one rule for the charter schools. We love, care, and educate all of our students. The charter schools select which students they will love, and when those students don't conform to their type of love, they put them out with a smile on their face. But we welcome them back into the city of Trenton, into our Trenton Public Schools with open arms. Here's what I know, because I'm in school every day. I know, I can guarantee that I'm going to see several charter school students coming, ironically, right around testing. I know I'm going to see charter school kids wanting to return to Trenton High School, ironically, right before the graduation cohorts have to hit. I know the many students that enrolled into Trenton High School this summer and came and I said, why are you leaving? What grade are you in? 12th? So hold on, let me get this straight. So you've been there for 3 years. Well, why aren't you graduating? Because they don't think I'm going to graduate on time. See, the charter schools are our fair weather friend. And sometimes you don't need a friend like that. When the going gets tough, well, the charter schools don't get going. They send the students packing. And we welcome them back with open arms. Last year, in May, I'm not going to mention anybody's name, so don't get scared. There was an article that was written about a charter school and their graduation rate. And it said, all 17 of our seniors are graduating. Well, I like everyone here to tell me how many of you even have 17 students for the record though, I do not have the exact numbers for how those students were divided. But let's just say in 2007, there were 50 students in the 6th grade. Well, I wasn't a math major, but if you started with 50 students in the 6th grade and you graduated 17 as seniors, that actually brings the graduation rate to about 34%.
That's right.
One of our struggles is that we are fighting against a smokescreen. A smokescreen that is created by the charter schools. Come to us, and the media, come to us. We're able to serve you better. We're able to do better. We're able to give you things that the other schools can't provide. Well, I will challenge that at Trenton High School, there is not one thing that you will get at any charter school that you are not getting tenfold at Trenton High School. Ultimately, we all know the story. We know that there's no 20-year reunions for charter schools. We know how charter schools operate in Trenton. They're here one day and gone the next. And when they're gone, they leave their students battered, bruised, and torn up. And we welcome them back in with open arms. And we get most of them to the point where the charter schools were not able to get them to. So my concern and my fear is this, that as we are moving through the smoke screen and trying to tell our story, because our story is not the story that Trenton Public Schools, and as it was, it actually looked like Trenton Public Schools, but it was Trenton High School that was pictured in the newspaper. 50% graduation rate, everybody is so happy. When you put a picture of Trenton High School on the front page and you put that, it assumes that Trenton High School has a 50% graduation rate, when in actuality, Trenton High School West Campus had an 80% or higher graduation rate. Trenton High School West had a 76% graduation rate and rising. The reason why the graduation rate is what it is because the Trenton Public Schools has made the choice to go back and reach out to our students who were dropouts, to our families, and to educate those adults through the Daylight Twilight program. And that is why, when you mix everybody together, our graduation rate gets skewed. So when it's plastered with Trenton High School as the picture, that there's a 50% graduation rate, that is unfair, and that continues the smoke.
Ms. Grant, your time is up.
The real fact is when Trenton Public Schools, our scores are going up, our graduation rate is going up, but yet our budget is being cut. Schools need support in order to be successful, and each person out here is an integral part to our school's success. There needs to be a discussion on how the supports that the schools need will be met. And just saying the duties will be assumed by others in the department does not give enough of a detailed plan on how we are going to work this out. There is a direct connection to the fact that we are moving forward and our budget is moving down.
That's right. That's right.
We need every parent, every teacher, every supervisor, director, coordinator, disciplinarian, secretary, custodian, member of building and grounds. We need every single position, every single person in order to be successful. But what we first need to do is to work together, and I have to agree with what Ms. Johnson said. We are here to partner with you. We are here for the fight. Let me know where, let me know when to speak. You know, sometimes I don't say what I should say, but I definitely say what I want to say. But we are here with you. We want to partner with you, and this is a much bigger fight. But if we continue to allow the smoke to continue, then we're going to continue to be in this position. And we really need some fans to blow the smoke away so that we are operating on the same grounds and with the same information as others from the charter schools. One last thing I want to say, TASA has already expressed the serious concerns about a job description that has been presented in front of you. It has the exact same performance responsibilities, but now there is a proposed change in qualifications. We have already expressed this concern. We need to have more discussion so that this does not end up with an issue between our unit and central administration. So I'm asking you to review, to poll, or to have discussed the supervisor of instructional technology, accountability, and research.